Hey, Skylar, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Well, welcome back to the chair. Hey, what was the hardest thing about having to sit out all those games?
Um, there was a lot of things that were challenging and hard, but I would say what the hardest thing for me was just standing there and not being able to participate, especially when we were kind of up against it and struggling there at times. Um, just standing up in the box and watching and not being able to do anything about it. I think that is what really hurt me the most. And then getting into the locker room after the games and seeing the hurt in my teammates' eyes and my coaches and all that stuff, and just not being able to contribute or um, you know able to make a difference. And uh, that was very challenging, and unfortunately that was what it was like for about 6 weeks in a row. So um, it was very challenging and tough, but I truly believe that me getting that experience and getting to see that from the perspective that I did is going to benefit me in the future.
Can you tell us any details about the injury you are recovering from, and how's the rehab process going?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get into details of what actually happened, but it, the recovery process has been going great. I mean, since I've gotten surgery, I mean, it's been going really smooth. From what I know, I mean, I've never really experienced an injury or a surgery like this before. So it was all obviously new, but um, I just treated every day of my rehab like it was game day. That was my game day, 5 days a week, and that's the way I approached it. That was my mindset. And at first it was just trying to get my range of motion back, and so each day I was just focused. I'm going to get 1 degree further in my range of motion today, or this movement I'm gonna go up one pound than I did yesterday. Yeah, and that was my approach. That's been my mindset this entire time for rehab. And I just got clear to start throwing last week. So I started off with a Nerf ball, um, throwing that thing around, and then I moved on to a junior peewee size football, so a littler football that had a little bit more weight to it. And then this week I moved on to our football, and it's been going really great. I mean, the best way to describe it for me, just being a basketball player at heart and growing up, it just felt as if I did like in high school and whatnot, when I went through an entire football season and then got thrown into basketball practice and asked to go pick up a basketball for the first time and dribble it and everything. It just felt kind of weird and felt awkward at first. But today was my third day throwing in my progression, and thought today was my best day. It's a slow process getting back into it, but I just try to focus on every single rep and making sure my mechanics are sound and I'm not compensating and I'm getting a good weight transfer and doing all the things that I've done in the past and not building any bad habits through this process.
And as you think ahead to your final season here, what will what would I'm struggling for the word here, but what do you think you need to do to go out with a bang and finish things the way you want?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's anything necessarily that I need to do or have to do. But I'm just looking forward to getting out there and getting to play this game again. And obviously, it's not what I planned to be back here for a sixth year. But also, I didn't plan for COVID to happen. I didn't plan for me to get hurt. There's a lot of unexpected things that got thrown at me. But I know at heart that everything happened for a reason, and it's part of the plan. And I trust in that with all my heart. And I'm going to embrace this opportunity, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to prepare myself for the best season that I could possibly have. And while doing that, being a great leader, being a great teammate, and helping my teammates grow around me, and Because I'm the old head in the locker room now. And I was just talking to Khalid Duke today, and he was just talking about how he was born in 2002. And I was sitting there like, I was in kindergarten when you were born. And just having that age differential, being able to mentor guys, being able to use the things that I've gone through and experienced here to influence them and make them better. And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to invest in doing this offseason and going into the next year.
All right. Well, thinking back to 2002 makes me feel really old, but hey, thanks for your answers, Skylar.
John?
Yeah, Skylar, take me back to, the hit when it happened and what the moment was like when you found out you were going to be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So obviously I got hit, and as I was laying to the ground, I just had my arm in a kind of a weird situation, weird angle, trying to brace myself a little bit as I was going to the ground. And in the moment when I got hit and was on the ground, I didn't feel anything weird happen, to be honest. But I got up and tried to move my arm to look at my wristband on my wrist to get the next play. And my whole arm was just numb and stinging, and it felt like I was just getting stabbed, honestly. And I've never been stabbed before, so I don't know exactly what that feels like. But that's, if I had to give it a gander for what it felt like, that would be it. And so I knew something wasn't good. I just heard the coaches. Obviously, I was getting up and I was getting ready for the next play, and I just heard the coaches telling me to get down so they could get another player in. And so I got down, and I just remember, honestly, just in the moment, I was in shock and a lot of pain. And I just remember Coach Kleiman. I just opened my eyes, and Coach Kleiman was standing over top of me or sitting over top of me, and he grabbed my hand and just told me that he loved me and that it's going to be okay. And I looked over and saw my teammate Briley praying over top of me. And in that moment, I was obviously a lot of things going through my head and whatnot, but I didn't want to overreact because I didn't know exactly what had happened. And I got in the locker room and went through all the things they wanted me to go through, and nothing was broken. And so they were just doing some tests on me, trying to test my strength in my arm and doing some movements and stuff. And I could do a little bit. And they put a ball in my hand to see if I could grip it and throw it. And I couldn't even wrap my fingers around the ball. So in that moment, I knew something bad had happened, but I just obviously didn't know. And the next day I was able to get in, get an MRI and get my results back. And the doctor informed me what had happened and told me, we just talked about my future, talked about what I want to do in the future and what is the best thing for me to do right now in order to protect my future and myself. So the best option was to get surgery right away. And, obviously I was very emotional at first. My family was here because they were at the Texas Tech game. And so I was able to, have them around. My dad stayed a couple of days with me, just to spend time with me and, make sure I was doing okay. And, it definitely was hard at first, but I think the hardest part was that week before I had surgery, just sitting there. I felt stagnant, and just had so much time on my hands just to think about everything. And it definitely troubled me of why this happened, why now. But it came to the point where I was like, I got to get back on the saddle and go to work. And I'm not going to let something like this define my future. And if anything, it's just going to add to my story. And so whenever I got surgery, that was really the big turning point, because, now I'm fixed and I can start getting healthy. And so, like I said earlier, just focusing on one day at a time, not getting ahead of myself, not getting frustrated if I had a tough day or my rehab didn't go as well as I thought it would. But just embracing and all those feelings, all those emotions, and treating every day like it was game day, because that's what it was to me.
when it came time to decide if you were going to come back this year or not? I know Coach Kleiman mentioned the other day, part of it was not being able to have a pro day and what that would mean for an NFL future for you. Was it more that? Was it more about legacy at K-State? I guess how would you break down what all went into that decision to come back?
So both of those were a big part of my decision to come back. First and foremost, you know, I'm a pretty competitive kid, and I don't want to go out like that. And I just feel like I still have a lot of good football in my tank and can still improve, still get better. I don't feel like I've reached my full potential, and especially, you know, after the Oklahoma game, I just felt like I was really starting to get in a groove and was playing good football. And sure enough, that's when everything happened. And it seems like that's always how it does, you know, when I feel like you got things figured out, you know, that's when things turn sideways a little bit. So, you know, and that's what Coach Kleiman on one of our first phone calls, kind of talking about coming back, you know, he expressed that to me. He's like, I know this isn't the way you want to go out, and I know the type of person and player you are, and we want to have you back if you want to. And obviously I'd put a lot of thought into it, a lot of thought about my future as well. You know, it's always been my dream to play at the next level. And I believe I need some more film, especially in this offense. And so it was a pretty easy decision for me. The biggest thing for me was where if the coach is going to be accepting me back and welcome me back with open arms. That was the thing I was most worried about, because I didn't want to enter the transfer portal. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I did not want to play at any other university than here. And so whenever Coach Kleiman expressed that to me, Coach Klein did, Messingham, all the coaches, I was super excited, and it made my decision really, really easy.
Appreciate it, Skylar. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Derek?
Yeah, Skylar, we kind of saw the video when right after you, with the change of the number to number 7 and talk about a legacy. What do you want your legacy at Kansas State to be?
You know, for me, my legacy here, you know, I want to be remembered as a person, a player that impacted every single person he touched throughout the years he was here. And whenever adversity hit, that he persevered and found a way to make a bad situation a great situation. And obviously I want to win games, and I want to do all those things. But for me, it's more so just the impact of people around me, and making people better around me, and helping guys see their full potential in themselves by the way that I lead, the way that I play, and ultimately that is how I want to be remembered. And I know all the wins and all the stats, all that type of stuff is icing on the cake, really. But for me, that's not necessarily the most important thing for me for my legacy and how I want to be remembered here.
Yeah, some of the wide receiver room looks a little bit different than the last time you were the quarterback. Like Gill's not here, for example. Who are some of the guys you really feel like you're going to be able to count on this season? Or some newer faces that we may not have seen that you envision being somebody you can count on?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about our receiver room and our tight ends, really all of our skill positions. And I mean, every position on offense. We got our whole O-line coming back, and there's just a lot of positive and encouraging things to look forward to. But obviously Malik Knowles, you watch his last 3 games, really felt like he was starting to get in a groove and getting confidence. And and playing like we all know he can play. And so having an off season with that confidence, the way he finished, excites me a lot. And him and I talked a lot over break about just building a strong relationship and building that trust where we're on the same page at all times, and just ultimately just trying to find ways to help our football team win games. And then you sprinkle in Phillip Brooks, who's a guy that's been around for a while, and I think has an exceptional skill set and does a lot of good things for us. So having him back, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing Jalen Travis. He redshirted last year and was battling some injuries and throughout the year, so we didn't really get to see fully what he was capable of doing. But so far, what I've seen this semester since we've been back has been very, very encouraging and has me excited to work with him. And then you throw in Deuce Vaughn and Keon Mosey. I think Jacardier Wright. Obviously we've seen what Deuce Vaughn can do last year, but I think him having a whole off season to make his body stronger and to learn our offense even more and those types of things is going to make him better. And then our tight end group, adding Daniel, I think is exciting. He's obviously a guy that has played some good football and has been on some successful teams. He's won a Pac-12 championship. He's won a Rose Bowl. He's played with guys like Sam Darnold and Juju Smith, and so he's been in those big moments and has a lot of experience in that way that I think is going to really help our tight end room. But in saying that, I think Sammy Wheeler and Connor Fox both have a really bright future as well. And Connor Fox, during our bowl prep week before we got shut down and had to cancel all that, he was doing a lot of good things and showing glimpses of a promising future for helping us win football games. So, like I said, there's a lot of guys that I'm really excited to work with this off season and build relationships with and build trust, and ultimately just trying to find ways for us to contribute and help us win football games.
And Daniel might be one of the few guys on the team that's older than you, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yes, he is. I give him a hard time about that too.
Go last year to Ryan.
Hey, Skylar, I got a few things for you. And I guess first would be, I know you can't really say anything for a certainty because I guess everything depends on if you hadn't got hurt, how many games you could have played, how the season would have gone. But is it pretty close to a certainty that if you'd been able to play all or the majority of last fall, that you wouldn't be talking to us right now?
Probably. I was really set on playing last year and hopefully having a good season and putting enough on tape to where I could step out and take my chance at the next level. But obviously that didn't take place. So my plans changed a little bit. So and that's okay. So I'm excited to be back and excited to have another year, another crack at this thing.
What was the biggest thing, Skylar, that you learned during that time that you were sidelined? I know that Coach Kleiman, Coach Messingham, they mentioned how big of an influence you were on Will and trying to help him through things. Just what did you gain as a player by just that time watching the games from the sidelines? Were you able to and I think even Coach Kleiman mentioned that you were up in the booth some with Coach Klein, kind of. So just tell me what at least did you learn from the time that you had to be out last season? Well,
there were tons of things I learned, too many to name them all off. But, I have an ambition of being a football coach someday at this level. And so getting to be up in the box and see the game from that perspective, being able to tag along with Coach Messingham and just his process of play calling, and being able to track things for him and communicate and have open dialogue about what coverages we're seeing and blitzes and all that type of stuff. And just getting to see the game from that perspective is obviously something I've never experienced before. But I truly think that it helped me learn the ins and outs of things, and the game just seems slower up there just because you can see things happen before they do. And I'm really looking forward to getting back on the field and just seeing how that translates over to being back on the field. But also, I mean, so when we're in a press box, there's, Coach Messingham, Coach Clanderman, offense and defense up there. So I thought I learned a ton from Coach Clanderman in listening to how he called the game from a defensive perspective and the ways that he, after drives would talk about, okay, these couple of plays are killing us. How are we gonna, what coverage can we suit up for this formation and for this play to where we can fit it up better? And, those types of things, how they make adjustments throughout a game as a defense. And, obviously that just got my wheels turning as far as just thinking about, how defenses, D coordinators that we're playing against, how would they maybe switch up what they're doing, or how would they defend what we're good at, and being able to sit in their defensive staff meetings and listen to them game plan and the verbiage that they used was really, really valuable to me. And so just getting to see the coaching side of things and seeing the game from their perspective and the why behind the what, I think really is something that I'm going to take away that's going to benefit me in the future.
Skylar, we hear sometimes guys talk about like after losses or certain things that they like that. I don't go back and look at the film. With your injury, is that something where you refuse to watch it just because of a painful memory, or obviously if you've just seen it because you saw a film review when you guys watched it after the game at some point?
Yeah. I went back and watched it because honestly, it happened so quick. I didn't realize. I was like, how did this happen? And so I went back and watched it. Actually, I want to say it was the game after, I think it was when we played KU, whenever I was really back around the team after I could from surgery. It was like before practice one day, I kind of just sat up there and went through and watched it. And, I told myself I'm gonna watch this one time and that's it. And that is, that's the truth. So it was something that, I watched and embraced and the time kind of smiled about it. And, from there, as I walked out of the room, just put it in the past. It's not something that, I'm going to carry on my back or add any weight on my shoulders or have a burden about it. It is what it is, and it happened for a reason. And I'm embracing that pain, that hurt, that frustration to motivate me for the future.
Well, Skylar, part of the reason I did ask about it was because a lot of the fan base, when it happened after the earlier injury that game to Alan Bowman on the Khalid Duke hit, there are a lot of people in the K-State fan base who felt like it was a dirty hit on you. Did it seem like to you after watching it or even seeing it, did it seem beyond like a normal football play, or is that just like people who are fans, they just assume that anytime there's a big hit, sometimes there might be some ill intent?
Yeah, well, I don't think he intentionally tried to hurt me at all. And in that way, I do think that it was just a football play. But, I mean, he got, a targeting penalty and got kicked out of the game. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. But in saying that, like I said, it's football and those types of things happen. And that's the risk that we take every time we step out in the field. We're risking a lot of things. So it definitely wasn't anything that like rubbed me the wrong way or that I'm going to hold any grudges for or anything like that. Like I understand those things happen and I just happened to be on the wrong side of it. So, that's the way I looked at that.
Last thing, Skylar, is that Coach Kleiman said the thing that's impressed him the most so far about Jake is that, sometimes you get guys who enroll early and they're just sitting here trying to go through the motions and learn things. But he said he's been impressed that he's even kind of been willing to maybe call out older guys and really get on certain people, which he says is very rare for a freshman. So what's impressed you about Jake since he's already joined you guys?
Yeah, well, you can tell Jake is focused and wants to be really good. He's up there watching film. He's trying to learn as much as possible. He sat in with film sessions with me and Will, and asking me questions, asking Will questions, just trying to learn, and I think as a young player, that's the best thing you can do is, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And if there's something that you don't understand, to ask about it and get an answer. And he's done that. And, I've seen him spin the ball a little bit at our 7-on-7s and stuff. And it comes out of his hand really well. And so, I think he has a potential to be a really good football player. But in saying that, I mean, our whole quarterback room, I think, Will's been doing a great job at 7-on-7 and workouts and stuff too. I mean, he's been leading. You can tell having that experience that he got last year has really, really paid off as far as his comfort level, as far as having the confidence to lead guys and to call people out that are not doing the right thing. And when he's doing that, he's setting the example he's doing everything right. And he works really hard. So I would say from top to bottom, our quarterback room is as deep as it's ever been since I've been here. And for that, I mean, for me is very, very promising and very encouraging for the future. And competition makes everyone better. It's going to raise everybody's play. And, that's what you want. I mean, that's what you want in our room, because we're a pretty important piece to this puzzle. And so, it's been awesome. I have a great relationship with all of them, and especially Will, just from getting to spend so much time with him through last year and getting to, help him through some things and teaching what I know. Him and I have developed a really good relationship, and that's carried over into this offseason as far as, he's pushing me. When we're going up against each other and conditioning, whatever the case may be, he's yelling at me to beat him, and I'm doing the same thing, and we're just having fun. We're having fun with it. We're all aware that there's one guy that's going to play, but we want this team to be successful and we want to win football games. And we know that our role in this team is to be great leaders and to influence our team around us to lift their level of play by the way that we show up and attack our work every single day. And that's what you want. And Coach Klein's done a great job of leading us in that way and making that very clear to us and making it very important.
Okay, Skylar, I have one last fun question. Can you pronounce Daniel's last name or spell it without looking it up?
I can pronounce it. I think it's Imortabebe. But the spelling probably would fail at that. But it was funny. So when I got a hold of him for the first time, and he sent me his name. His last name, instead of saying Imortabebe, he just said Bebe. But yeah, he has a challenging last name, but I'm excited to work with the guy. He's an unbelievable person, and you guys will really enjoy getting to talk to him whenever that time comes.